Happy holidays, everybody. It's lovely to see everyone in right now. Willow wanted to wear a holiday themed sweater, and I felt like I needed to match her. So I think we're both doing well with our festive gear on. Although it's pretty hot in here, so mine probably won't last too long. Good to see everybody in here. Somebody comment and tell me that you can hear me and everything's good. Hi, everybody. It looks like I'm sure you can hear me. Otherwise, I would have complaints, right? People would immediately say, I can't hear you. Okay. Clint from Black Boxes in. Good to see you, Clint. If you guys have any Cajun questions, that's your guy. That's your guy to chat with. Somebody was asking in the very beginning. Looks like his mom has given him permission to get a snake, but he's got to convince his grandmother. And how do you convince someone who is afraid of snakes because of their religion? And I would say in that case, it's going to be tough because you can teach people about snakes and you can give them logical information about snakes. But if it has to do with the superstition that they were raised with, like a superstition or a religion that they were raised with, then you've got to tackle that problem. You've got to say, well, it's not really like in the Bible. If you look at that, however you want to, it's pretty tough. Pretty tough. That's the one thing that that I would say is very difficult to get over, because people that were raised with a religion or any kind of a superstition. Let's say that they were from some country that just has superstitions about snakes that they're raised with. That usually sticks in their head, and it's really tough to get them over that. So that is unfortunate. But best of luck. Okay. Hi, everybody. I see everyone saying hello in the comments here. We've already got a bunch of people in. That is fantastic. I just, minutes before I went live, I realized that my Lane Labs order would have shown up today, and I forgot to go outside and get it. So I ran outside really fast and brought this big box in. So I'm a little winded and sweaty right now because I did it really fast. It was literally like 3 minutes before I had to hit the live button. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna stop worrying about Willow's sweater because I don't think she cares whether she's wearing it or not. It just kind of seems like she doesn't care. We're gonna get to what I'm drinking here. We're not doing Scotch today. We're doing Irish. This is my favorite Irish whiskey, Redbreast. It's tied with Green Spot. Green Spot is my other favorite, and I can't decide which one I like better. But I'm happy with this because I've got a box now that is going to go, and I think this one's going to go to Stella. Because Stella likes to curl up in a box. She hasn't had one for a little while. And it's cleaning day. I mean, it's cleaning week. It usually takes me a few days to get through everything with all the stuff I have to do. And the last 2 cages to clean are Echo and Stella. So that's happening tomorrow. And then that box will go in Stella's cage. I've given Echo boxes before, but she doesn't really use them. So all right. Let me get this handled real quick. And then we will get on with it. We've got a nice Q&A to do. You guys, I'm so sore today. Here's how this always, I've lived in Southern California for 20 years or something. And this always is crazy to me that the night before last, I was at a Christmas party. I went to a holiday Christmas party. Yesterday, I went surfing. It's so crazy. Like, it was 82 degrees or something in Malibu. And I went surfing. Did I surf? That's not the question that you should be asking. It's I went surfing. It's like if I went fishing. it's rude to ask, did you catch anything? Because if I did, I would tell you, right? So I went surfing. I rode a few waves. Did I stand up on the board? That doesn't matter. That's not the point. I don't know why you're asking that. I tried really hard and I got a good lesson from a friend of mine. So I'm going to try a few more times. Redbreast is so good, especially around the holidays. I highly recommend it. If you like Irish whiskey. All right, I'm gonna try one more time with Willow here. We're gonna pull off her sweater. See if I can get her to be comfortable. All right, do I have my mic on? I do. Okay, great. So it's really nice to have this weather, but it's very up and down lately in Southern California. Really warm some days. Yesterday and today were pretty warm, and then it just gets freezing cold occasionally. So today is not the day to be wearing a sweater, but it is, because you know it's a good sweater given to me by my friend Cherie, and so we'll try it for a little while. Okay, what else do I have to? Oh, let me show you this. So around the corner from my house is one of my favorite establishments called Idle Hour, and they're like a restaurant pub, kind of a high-end pub / restaurant thing, shaped like a barrel. It's really cool, and they do little events there. And they called me up. My friend who handles the events there, she called me up last week and she goes, Bob, we're having a bring your dog to get pictures with Santa Claus, but it doesn't have to be a dog. It could be anything. So you got to come. You got to bring a snake. So, so I brought Lucille, and check this out. So very, very authentic looking Santa Claus there. He looks absolutely frightened in that photo, but he's really not. He was just fine with the snake, but he just that was out. I mean, you can barely see her. She actually is wearing a sweater, but I don't think we got any photos. He looks terrified in that photo. You can kind of see her sweater, her blue sweater in that one. But anyway, Lucille got her pictures taken with Santa Claus. So that was fun. Easy thing to do. I have I've got a coat. It was kind of cold that day, but fine for her. But I have a coat with a really big pocket on the inside. So I just put her in my coat and zipped her in there and drove around the corner. Got her picture taken real quick. Showed her off to a few people. Brought her back home. Super easy. Okay. What do we have here? Oh, for those of you, if you are in the Horde of Keepers on Patreon, I finally got the full interview with Dr. Morgan Skinner posted about the ball python survey. It's like 28 minutes of us chatting about it, and it's really good. So I highly recommend that you check it out. I just posted it today. I meant to do it last week and forgot. So it's up right now. And oh, Willow, you're gonna pull my stuff off my hat. This isn't permanent hat decor. Also, for anyone watching that's in the Horde, in case you missed it, we're trying to plan a in-person get-together for the night before the Pomona Reptile Show. So that's January 10th. We will get together somewhere near the Pomona Reptile Show in the evening sometime, I would imagine. So that's that. Look at that. Completely ruined. All right, great. I'm not too worried about it. Now I can have other snakes climb on my hat. You guys saw how fancy my hat was, right? You appreciate it, right? Okay. So now we can just go for a regular hat situation. She was like, get that stuff off this hat so I can climb up on it. This, I would like this hat a lot better if they had centered the band. Like I'm wearing the hat centered, but the middle of the band is over here. And when I first got it, I thought, oh, I should send it back. And then my second thought was, no, that'll be a pain to send it back. I'll probably get used to it and it won't bother me. It bothers me every time I see it. I wish I had sent the hat back. All right. What else do we got? I think we're into Q&A questions, except for Joe's super chat. Thanks for the super chat, Joe. Any plans to come to Orlando anytime soon? Well, I just was there. I don't have any plans to come anytime soon. I would imagine I'll be back at some point. Maybe. Oh, Amy's flagging me down. Hang on. We got to say hi to Amy too. I might be back next year for Animal Con. Possibly. Amy. Hi, Amy.
What's up, snake nerds? Hi. Bob, you had a snake in your face, so I'm gonna excuse this one, but Joe wants to know if you have plans to go to Ontario anytime soon. Not
And I
Orlando.
saw Orlando. It's not because I have a snake in my face. It's because I didn't have my glasses on. I totally read that as Orlando. I see that it says Ontario now. I totally forgot to say that Amy's with us, you guys. So there we go. And this is exactly what she's here for. She's here to catch super chats that I miss and help me read things that I don't read properly, whether I have my glasses on or not, because I totally could have done that with my glasses on even. It just would have been more embarrassing. I wouldn't have the glasses excuse. Amy, I like your hat.
Thank you. This is my Santa hat.
I
wear this hat every single year on Christmas, all day long.
Yeah?
It gets very sweaty.
Do you remember the hat that you wore in our video? You wore the bowler hat that you decorated with the things. I pulled the things off that bowler hat and added them to my hat. So I had double the things before Willow pulled them off.
And Willow's getting coal for Christmas.
She's getting coal
for undecorating your Christmas hat on a Christmas live stream.
Yeah. It's a good idea. So, Joe, let me amend my statement. No, I don't have plans to come to Ontario. I would love to make it up to Canada, but I don't have any Canada plans at this point. Amy, thanks for flagging me down for that.
Cheers, friends. Happy holidays.
See you in a bit. Okay. There we go. All right. So we've got a bunch of Q&A questions, and a lot of these are very long-winded questions. So I'm going to try to grab the gist of the questions and give you the cliff notes of them, because we have half-page questions here on some of these. Okay. So Kevin is saying that he noticed his snake has pink belly, and so dumped a lotus sphagnum moss in the warm and cool hides to make sure she's suitably humid. Is this too soon? When do you guys do humidity extras for shed purposes? It's probably not necessary, is my answer. It's not that it's too soon. You know, if you have a snake that you know is dry, like that hasn't been in a properly humidified enclosure for a while, and you see that they're going into shed, giving them a humid hide on the warm side is great to do. I wouldn't do it on both, because they may choose they'll probably choose to use it on the warm side, but they also may want to not be in such a humid situation. And they also might have a bad shed, and that's not the end of the world either. But my point is that if it's a ball python and their cage is properly humid, you know, between 60 and 80%, you don't need a humid hide at all. If it's not, if they haven't been in a, you know, if their cage has been a little bit dry, then just putting some sphagnum moss in the warm side hide is good to do. I do it for Echo and Stella because reticulated pythons tend to have bad sheds, and so I try to give them. I just throw sphagnum moss in whatever hide they happen to be in, because usually, you know, when a snake is in shed, they're going to pick a hide and they'll stay there for a week. So whatever hide they're in, I throw sphagnum moss, and then they usually have good sheds. But I don't do it for any of my ball pythons, because my ball pythons almost always have good sheds. Except somebody had a blow up of a shed last time. Oh, the inspector had a terrible shed last time, which surprised me. But that's okay. Not a huge deal. You can help them with that. It's not the end of the world if a snake has a bad shed. You just, if they chronically have bad sheds, you got to figure out why, and it's usually because your humidity is too low. All right, that's that. Good question though, Kevin. All right, Stephen is asking. Hang on. Oh, so he's got PVC enclosures for 3 bigger ball pythons. Covered the tops, have an inch of, hang on, let me just read through this and I'll tell you what he's asking. Oh, having trouble keeping the humidity up in a PVC enclosure. You're saying you cover the top, so this must be one of those PVC enclosures that still has a screen top. I don't know why there's enclosures that are built like that. Like, there's just not a reason to have a screen top if you have a PVC enclosure. Maybe there is, and I'm just not thinking of it, but I can't think of a use for a screen top when you already have a PVC enclosure. You know, you can have a whole cut if you're doing a lamp or something, but or CHE. Anyway, the point is, how do you bump that? He said the humidity hovers around 27 to 33. How do I keep my humidity up? Yeah, make sure that the top is fully covered. There's also probably slats on the side that are cut out for airflow, and you don't want to close those completely up because you do want to have a little bit of airflow. But if you have a PVC cage that's a little bit drier, you can cover like half of them, and that'll keep some humidity in. And then if you're using cocoa husk, mixing water into that cocoa husk will do it. And sometimes you just have to do more water, you know. But make sure that you've got a little bit of airflow, but otherwise everything else is covered. And then you should be good. All right. Candy's Critters has a few questions. Let me just read through this and I will. Okay, so question 1, new enclosure for the hog nose, which is, oh my gosh, Amy, really? Amy's giving me a flashlight.
I have been trying to wave you down for 5 minutes.
Oh, what's up?
Probably not actually 5 minutes. You know, I like to exaggerate.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 things. I have a PVC enclosure that has screen tops. All of my PVC enclosures have screen tops.
Yeah, that's right.
I bought a really thin piece of wood and I sprayed it with enamel so that it was more waterproof. And then I screwed my radiant heat panels into the wood, and then I put them up against the screen top and connected them with bars. And then I can like screw like lights and everything in there, but that's how I made my PVC screen top enclosures. Not that.
You are so smart and handy, Amy. Well
I'm
done.
so smart.
And handy.
Also, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Your community chats on Patreon, are those available for all members, including the free members, or is that something you have to pay for?
I don't think so. I'm not sure the answer to that. I believe it's just for Horde of Keepers, but I don't know that I ever had the option to even set it. So if
okay.
you're
I was Googling it, and Patreon says that you do have the option, but I wasn't sure if that was like something that you had set for paid or not.
Oh, yeah, there's a good chance that I had that I
So,
have the option. I just don't remember seeing the option. So,
okay, Megan, Discord is your best option. I will post the link in the chat right now.
cool, cool. Yeah, yeah. Discord is good. If you are a free member of the Horde of Keepers, here, Amy, thanks for all that. If you're a free member of the Horde of Keepers, I mean, a free member of Patreon, you get. I do a video every week, a 1-minute green room update for everybody, including the Horde of Keepers and the free members on Patreon. So, so you get that. You get that little 1-minute update, which is kind of fun, a little behind the scenes stuff. Where were we at? Was I reading a question? Hold on, I'll figure it out. Okay, so Candy's Critters has a new cage for her hognose. It's not glass or PVC. It's the new EcoFlex material combo of recycled wood fibers and polymers. And she's asking about the heat mat. How does she get it hot? Because it doesn't work from the outside, and she's not sure if she should put it on the inside. All that stuff. And my answer is, don't use a heat mat. This is like having a PVC cage, and they're just not. Heat mats just aren't the best thing for a cage like that. They work okay on a glass enclosure because the heat mat, you can put it on the outside underneath, it'll heat the glass, but it doesn't do well on wood cages, polymer cages, PVC cages, all that stuff. So go with overhead heat. Go with the CHE or a heat panel or something like that. Bob John, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Really want a BCI, but terrified of a food bite. Well, do you already have like a ball python or something else? Because it's not much. I wouldn't say it's much worse. Also, like I've never taken a food bite from mine. You know, I don't think that they're super. They're not necessarily super food bitey, but it depends on the individual and how much you work with them and such like that. You might have to tap train your snake, you know. But I would say, I mean, that you know, a food bite isn't going to really cause you much damage. But the reason I asked if you already have a ball python is you kind of have the same. It's almost the same. Probably more likely to get bit with a BCI, but not much more likely. You know, they're pretty easy to work with. My BCI loves food, always thinks I'm feeding, has never bitten me. So, thanks for that super chat. All right. Also, don't know the name of the metallic tape, foil tape or HVAC tape. You can get them at a hardware store. It looks like foil and it's sticky, and that's what you cover a screen top with. Another question from Candy's Critters. I've seen conflicting info on whether to feed my corn snake rats or mice. Rats are more fatty, right? If she's a good weight on mice, should I maintain the status quo? She's 5 and fully grown. Well, I mean, I would say this. I see this a lot, and I think I see most people say that mice are fattier, but I don't think that's the case. I think rats are a little bit fattier. But I will say this, and this might be controversial. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. The nutrient like the difference in protein and versus fat is negligible compared to what does matter, really, if you're trying to pay attention, which is what was that animal fed? What is that animal eating as it was raised? That's more important, really, than the slight differences of fat content versus protein content. You know, this is like, you know, this is something you would pay attention to for yourself if you're a Olympic athlete. These are snakes, you know, they're going to do fine on both. I have snakes that have done great on mice and snakes that have done great on rats. But you know, what's in their gut and what they were raised on, how healthy was that animal, you know, raised up. That's the more important thing. But that's also something you can't necessarily control because you can't you can't control unless you raise your own and make sure that your rodents are getting really, really good food. So that's what I'll say about that. All right, Candy's Critters, next question. From what I see, there's no standardization regarding what defines small mouse, large rat, hopper mouse, etc. So I guess I should ask what weights they are. I'm feeding small and large mice from Rodent Pro at the moment, but I'm looking for guidance for when my stock runs low. Okay, so you're in the United States if you're using Rodent Pro, and you're using Rodent Pro, which is one of the big companies, and there is a pretty good standard between Rodent Pro, Lane Labs, the other big ones. Where you might get a discrepancy is you go to your local pet store, and the random person at the pet store doesn't know what to call the sizes. There's also a discrepancy internationally. People in the UK call the sizes different things. But, you know, with Rodent Pro and Lane Labs and stuff, it's basically the same, you know. Weaned rats, small rats, medium, you know, might be a little bit difference in size, but not to where it makes a huge difference. Willow, don't pull my mic off. And also you can, on any of those websites, they show the sizes. Like they show the weights, or the weight range of what those are. So that's that. Okay. You guys also, I didn't mention this, but if you're trying to ask me a question in the chat, there's a good chance I won't see it, but ask your question anyway. And there are a lot of experienced people that can answer your question. I already saw some of that happening in the chat. I noticed some people answering somebody's question, and that's great. I appreciate it. And I'm seeing lots of experienced folks are here. I just saw Erica and Jen from High Vis Pythons. There's some other people in there. So there's that. If you want me specifically to answer your question or see your comment, super chat it. And that's when I will either see your super chat or Amy Bentley will flag me down. Okay, so that's that. Let's move on to Birdie says, "Hiya, Bob. I'm curious about feeder sizes." Here, okay, so there's another food size question. What feeder you're using for your snakes? Primarily for the ball pythons and Handsome Dan. You mentioned you feed your adult males small rats. Do you mean Lane Labs small mediums? They have a right before the medium, they have a small/medium, or just small rats. Also, what size are you feeding Handsome Dan? Small as well? Thank you. All right. No, just smalls for the males. Lane Labs small rats for the males once every 14 days. They do great on that. I have given them small mediums before, and there have been some males that have gotten a medium because I had one left over, maybe that a female didn't take or something. So, you know, they can, and sometimes I'll give them a jumbo mouse, you know, which is a little bit smaller than a small rat. But for the most part, my intention is to feed them a small rat. But if there's something left over and it goes to a male, that's totally fine. Handsome Dan just started getting medium rats. So, which is crazy because I think of him as a small snake, but he'll be bigger than a male ball python. And so I think mediums are probably, I don't think he'll ever get anything bigger than a medium rat, probably, but I don't know for sure. We'll see how he does. But he gets fed. I'm feeding him a larger prey item, but only once every 3 weeks. So we'll see how he does on that. I just started that program, and he seems to do well for his first few feedings. But I just kind of monitor that and see how he's doing. There's a lot of sort of different strategy on feeding boas. But I think it's important to give them plenty of time off between meals, especially if you're giving them a larger meal, you know. Okay, I'm going to put Willow back. Wait, you know what I'm going to do? Two things. I'm going to put Willow back. I hate to get rid of the sweater, but I'm sweating like crazy in it. That's why it's called a sweater, I think. So give me just a moment. Hey, Amy, do you want to, here. Hi.
Hi, guys. Sarah,
Yeah, go ahead and
yes,
just answer
please,
stuff.
because I have no idea where my phone went. I flashed Bob's for his attention. What I saw. Okay, so there are a few people asking me what I'm eating for dinner, what Brady is bringing me for dinner. It is a recipe called black mac. It's a very weird. Oh my gosh, I can
It's
hear my
it's
phone.
it's one of my absolute favorite dishes, you guys. The black mac. It's so freaking good.
Let me just show you guys where my phone is. Here, like tucked into my suitcases. Thank you, Sarah. I'm gonna hang up though. Thank you, Sarah. You're amazing. Okay, so black mac, you guys, is it's a recipe that my husband's grandmother created. It is macaroni elbow noodles. Oh, I'm about to show it to you. Thank you so much. Yay. Okay, it looks crazy. Okay, but it's macaroni elbow noodles and diced tomatoes with green chilies. Just a crap ton of cheese, like sharp cheddar cheese. A little bit of garlic powder and soy sauce. So you boil the noodles until they're soft. You put everything in a casserole dish, and then you put it in the oven and you broil it until the top is black. And you mix it up and you broil it one more time. Black mac.
It's one of my
It
all-time
sounds super
favorite dishes.
weird. It's the best thing in the world.
It is.
I mean, my husband is incredible, like so great, the best person in my whole entire life. I would have married him just to have this recipe in my life all the time. And you know what? He makes it for me all the time. Like all the time. My
It's
favorite thing.
very good.
So good.
So
It's
you know
magical.
what? This reminds me, Amy. You know, one of the saddest things about having to move is, you know, Yoli, my neighbor,
Yes.
that I live next door to, and you guys are friends. Yoli used to bring me food, as many of you know. She's brought me food while I was doing live streams. You know, she always would make food and bring it to me. And I moved, and I'm like, I don't have somebody to bring me food all the time. Well, guess what? My neighbors downstairs, who I've become good friends with, like I had Thanksgiving with them and stuff, they're opening a food delivery service, and they're testing recipes. They're both incredible cooks, and so they just send me a text. They go, Bob, Monday is this, Tuesday is this, Wednesday is this. I've been getting meals every day because I'm their test guy for their stuff. So speaking of macaroni, I had a big thing of their mac and cheese, which is insane, and tomato soup that I ate yesterday and today. So good. And I think gumbo tonight. They're going to text me in like 2 hours and be like, come down and get gumbo. So great.
Awesome.
All right. So that's just me bragging. Back to, hang on. Where are we at? Okay. Bye, Amy. Thanks for that.
Hi, guys.
Okay. So don't worry about me starving, you guys. I am well fed. Thanks for being concerned about me. Where are we at? Okay, so we talked about the rodent sizes. So just smalls, Lane Lab smalls for males. I have here, look at this. I'm going to show you something because I have some out that are thawing right now. So there's a big difference. I thaw these in plastic bags. These are mediums, okay? This is a small. So let me try to get them side by side. So pretty, here, right. There we go. That's a good sort of comparison, right? Can you tell that? Oh, there we go. So pretty big difference. This is half the size or less of the medium, you know, and they do fine on those. And just as a bonus, in case you're wondering what size Pip eats, just that little tiny one. Okay, So we've shown dead rodents on this live stream now. That's handled. Great. Check that off the list. What else? We didn't, I haven't missed any super chats, right? Okay. Great. So here we go. Back to it. All right. Jenna is asking, so hold on, I'm going to paraphrase this. Rescued a female ball python. Well done. She's a little on the round side. We moved her to a 5x2x2. Great size cage. And we try to have her out and moving a few times a week. We're also target training. So I'm feeding 3 small prey items every 14 days. Do you have any thoughts on other ways we can help her slim down? She's only getting about 7% of her weight with her meals. That does include a quail. She's over 2,300 grams. 2 adult mice and a quail are how we're breaking down her food. Okay, so that was important to read that whole thing because there's a few things on this. Let me, first of all, let's talk about this. And I need a snake for it. Hi, Mama. Okay. Here is Freya, an adult ball python who's not overweight at all. And she is over 2,600 grams. I've weighed her recently just because I was curious. And so, you know, ball pythons are heavy-bodied animals. So they are on the round side for sure. So she's 2,600. That's not nearly the biggest. I mean, I have Kata is kind of on the chunky side right now. I'll bring Kata out too. Show you. Kata is over 3,000 grams, and she is. I would say that she's not unhealthy, but she is at the top end. Here she is. This is easy. Kata's at the top end. She's where, you know, a good way to tell if your snake is overweight is if when they're laying flat, their fat deposits on either side of their spine come up over their spine. So there's, instead of a, like right now I'm feeling her spine on top. If I was feeling her fat instead, and this spine was in a little valley, then that's a too overweight snake. So all this to say that there's a good chance that your snake is not overweight. They are just a heavy-bodied animal, you know. Kata, this is very normal, especially, I mean, she's a breeding female too, so we want them on the bigger side. And I'm guessing you're not breeding this rescue snake that you have, but still, you know, Freya's not up to breeding weight, and she's stuck on my chair. Hang on. So Freya's, you know, I mean, Freya's fine to breed right now, but I haven't been pounding her with food, you know. So that's that. Now, let's say that your snake, so that's my first thing, is you probably don't have a problem. You don't even have to worry about it. But let's say that your snake was overweight. You know, exercise for them is great for muscle tone, I think, for just allowing them to move their bodies and get their muscles working. But exercise is not going to do the same with them losing weight as it does for a human. You know, we get out, start running or whatever, go surfing, do something active, and we start to lose weight. They're not, ball pythons just aren't going to be active enough. You know, if I let Freya free roam right now, she'd go to the wall and come back and then find a hide to curl up in. So a little stroll to the wall and back isn't going to make her lose any weight. So it is about restricting food. And so in a case like that, you know, you're probably doing okay. with doing two mice and a quail. I think you said what, every 3 weeks or something like that, or every two weeks. Yeah, that's fine. You could even go every 3 weeks or something like that. But I don't think you should do that on this snake. I think your snake is probably fine. 2,300 grams, no problem. It's a lot of. In fact, there's probably a lot of people who could weigh in and say, "Oh, my snake's 3,200 grams," or my snake. You know, they get big. They're chunky, heavy-bodied snakes. Okay. Did I answer that one? Yeah. I think that was it. I would say though that it is common to see overweight snakes of any species, and it's tough to get a snake to lose weight, and it really is about restricting food, you know, if you want them to get back into a decent body condition. But I think, you know, with this one, you said that she's on the round side. They are round. Ball pythons are definitely on the round side, just normally. So it's about knowing what their body condition should be, and figuring out based on that, you know, does she have a decent body condition? And I think a good test of that is that spine thing, you know. Okay, so I'm about to miss a couple super chats. Desi Masuku _87. We've agreed a long time ago that I would say Desi Masuku _87's full name. Bob, just want to say thanks to you and the Discord group for restoring my love of snakes. Oh, that's awesome. Because of y'all, I decided on getting my Axanthic pastel het pied. So cool. Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations on your new snake. I'm so glad that the Discord has been so good to you. We have a good group over on Discord, you guys. That is free to join. You don't have to be on Patreon to join it. We do have some secret Discord channels for our Patreon folks, but there's a lot of people on the Discord, and for the most part, just really nice, helpful folks, supportive. Steven, thanks for the super chat. My daughter had a really bad day at school due to being bullied. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Her name is May Armstrong. Please say hi to her and wish her happy holidays. Oh, May, I'm so sorry you had a bad day. That's really tough. Hi, May. I'm glad that you're joining us for this live stream, and I hope that your day is better as of this evening. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. What other holidays am I missing? Happy all the holidays. Everybody's saying hello to May. That's great. I love it.
Hi, May.
Aaron.
Bob doesn't have me muted, so I'm saying hi.
Oh, I don't have you muted. That's weird. So you can just jump in, huh? That's cool. Yeah, I'm not trying to mute you myself. Yeah.
No, you just didn't put me backstage. I muted myself, but I'm still technically on the show.
Oh, are you really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't put. Oh, I get it. So if I remove you, oh, I see. Okay, I'm gonna remove you, Amy, just because I want to make sure this works. Oh, now she's removed. I see. And then if I add her, then I add. Oh, I got it. Okay, cool. Okay.
No.
Thanks, Amy.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. She was saying happy holidays. I already know what she said. Aaron, let's see. I just noticed this comment. Hi, Bob. Thanks for everything. Freya seems larger right before the tail starts. My ball is the same, which I don't see in my other snakes. Is this a ball python thing? Thank you. Yeah, definitely. They're fatter at where their cloaca is, and then their tail gets thinner. Especially adults, you know, and especially adult females. Let's see. Let me get a thinner male. Bear is pretty thin, and he's sitting right here. He's still, I mean, not as much, but he still has. I just don't really think about it when I see them, so I just wanted to look and see. Hey, buddy, you're okay. So even on a thinner male, you know, he's fatter right at. It's also hard to tell with his patterning, but right here is where the end of his tail is, and then he gets fatter. Hi, Bear. You're okay. Did I startle you? So sorry. He was awake and moving, but I don't think he was expecting his tub to be open. I like this guy, though. We'll leave him out for a minute. Okay, did I get all the super chats? I think so. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to this. Okay, Silvermander asks, we get the ball pythons can go on hunger strikes, but wondering if it might be more. He's always been intimidated by larger, not too young or not too big meals. We wonder if that might be it, or maybe he doesn't like the smell of this batch. He seems interested but put off for some reason. We want your thoughts on this. Yeah, you know, I do hear from people saying that their snake prefers smaller or prefers larger or whatever. I've never seen that myself in ball pythons. That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It totally could, but it also could be a coincidence that, you know, they were refusing a bunch of larger meals, and then the day that you tried a smaller one, they took it. I think you would have to test it a number of times, trying them with a larger, you know, even back to back. Try and give them a large one. They say no. Then you put that away and try the smaller one back to back, and they take the smaller one. So I think sometimes they just, you know, Bear is like that. Bear loves to eat food. He's very excited about food, and occasionally though he'll stop eating for a little bit, and seems interested, but he just doesn't take it. That's pretty common with ball pythons. You know, I always am careful because it's a common thing to happen, but it's not normal behavior. They're going off food for a reason, and that reason could just be that we feed them too much, and so they want to take a little break. So, you know, even like I say, I feed these males one small rodent every 2 weeks, and I still get occasionally a snake will go off food for a little bit. And it, you know, if they're breeding and going off food, as soon as they start eating, I'm going to probably feed them weekly for a little bit, just to make sure that, you know, they get back up to weight, or you know, have enough. I'm not too worried about their weight so much because they never start losing weight, but I want them to have enough energy if I'm breeding them, you know. Bob John, thanks for the super chat. Best aging ball python morphs might get Axanthic DG, but I don't know. Yeah, I would say Axanthic DG would be a great one. That's going to age awesome. Anything with Desert Ghost in it is going to age really nicely. That's the big advantage to Desert Ghost, is they just don't fade. They look amazing all the way through. And Axanthic also looks pretty amazing. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I've seen an Axanthic Desert Ghost adult, but somebody put in the chat how they look, because, you know, an Axanthic over time, as they grow, they'll get some brown in them, but they still look amazing. Like Anya here, she was basically black and white when I got her, but now she's turned. She's got some brown in her, but she still looks incredible, and she looks much better in person than on camera. Like, this is one of those morphs that the camera can't really do justice to, you know. But this is what they do normal. But with DG in there, I'm wondering if they stay more of a black and white and less brown. I don't know. Somebody put it in the chat. Oh, sorry, babe. I bothered you. Okay. Let's get you back. All right. I think that's a good choice, though. Axanthic DG. Okay, Phil is asking, will Maxine ever really recognize me as non-threatening? And if so, will she come to me when she sees me in non-food mode? For question number one, yes, probably. As long as you're working with her on a regular basis consistently, she'll see you as non-threatening. And to question number two, no, probably not. They're just not social creatures. Even though, you know, we had that video where we talked to Dr. Skinner about his study that showed that they probably are social, especially when they're younger. But you know, we're talking about the nature of them as they get older, and also even a younger one is not going to see a human as their people. You know, they might see other young snakes as their people and want to hang out with them, but they probably wouldn't do it for a human. So it's what we're trying to do when we socialize a snake is get them to see us as not a threat and tolerate us. So I have there are some species like my retics that will come up to me and crawl onto me right away because I'm the guy that lets them out, and they're going to start with checking me out and then they're going to go somewhere else. But most ball pythons don't do that. They're just not as interested in hanging out with us, but they'll tolerate it, you know? So that's my long-winded answer to that. Okay. I don't know why I take my glasses off. All right. Wayne the Distracted says, hey, Bob, I recently converted the ball python's bioactive setup. My question is, when I spot clean, should I use chlorhexidine on a paper towel as I would when picking up poops and urates in a regular setup? Or should I just let the cleanup crew do the rest? And then he says, I'll hang up and take the answer over the radio. Nice. Appreciate that. Yes, that's how I do it. In the inspector's cage right there, the bioactive, he goes all the way to the floor. When he's in, you know, there's that hide that you see right there. There's a hide right below it that's buried. And so the floor, he's on the actual floor. And then there's a buried hide on this side that you can't see that's just buried, that has a hole on top where he can go down to the floor. So that is just PVC down there. And he usually poops in his hide and pees in his hide. And so I'm cleaning that with chlorhexidine and wiping it. So I just don't, I don't want to leave it up to the cleanup crew. They've got enough work to do with other stuff. I want to make sure that the big bacteria causing stuff is taken care of. All right. I want the snake off my mic. Okay. So that's that. I try not to get chlorhexidine on the plants, on anything that I want alive, because it's supposed to kill things that are alive. So although, you know, we use it on humans and on animals in wound care and mouth care and stuff like that. So I don't know what chlorhexidine would do to a plant. So because I don't know, I keep it away from the plants. If somebody does know, put it in the chat. Is chlorhexidine okay on plants? I'm guessing it's not. Okay, here we are. Rana says, hello, a question all the way from France. Ooh, cool. I love France. Ever since you read the new study about the social behavior in ball pythons and interviewed the scientist, have you changed your free roaming setup or free roaming rules? Have you made new observations personally? I found the subject fascinating. Yeah, no, I haven't, just because you know, that study was done on juveniles. He was using, I think, 5 to 8 month old juvenile ball pythons. He had a set of, I think he had 6. He had like 5 different groups of between 6 and 8 ball pythons, I think. They were all between 5 and, what did I say, 5 and 10, 5 and 8 months old. Now I'm getting the numbers mixed up in my head. Anyway, they were all juveniles. And so the study was on juvenile ball pythons that were born in captivity and are technically still in captivity. They were in an arena that was where there was no heat source that was hotter. You know, it was all just ambient heat with a whole bunch of hides, basically. And when I have babies here, which I don't right now, but when I do have multiple babies here, I'll put them in playpen, like a doggy playpen, which is kind of their arena. I'll put a bunch of hides in there and basically let them do what he did in the study. Although I don't have him in there for 10 days in a row. We do it for a couple hours or something. And then with the adults, I think that if he did the study on the adults, he would find a very different situation. If it was all females, they might hang out together a little bit. If it was males and females, he would find breeding activity happening. He would find males combating together. So my rules for who can free roam, and I'm talking about ball pythons because I don't free roam separate species. But with my ball pythons, the rules are that I don't want breeding behavior happening. And male combat is breeding behavior. That's two breeding age males combating for a female. So I don't want that to happen, and I don't want males and females breeding out in the room. So I can free roam all my adult females together if I wanted to. I could let them all out, and there'd be no problem. I have a couple that will pee, and I know that, so that is a problem. I know that Lydia Dietz, if she's out with other females, she'll start peeing in spots. I don't know if she's marking a territory or if she's doing it defensively, like she's uncomfortable with it or whatever. I don't know, but I don't want to do it enough to, I don't care to figure that out. I just know that she's going to pee, so I let her free roam by herself. But most of the other snakes do just fine together and will sometimes hang out together. It's pretty interesting. And then and really the reticulated python social behavior that I watch is really cool too, because Echo and Stella will hang out together. They've got a whole room. Most of the time they don't. Most of the time they're off doing their own thing. But they've got a whole room to explore, and especially if there's something new, they'll explore it together, which I think is probably behavior that makes sense. If this new thing is dangerous or if there's a predator hiding behind it, you're safer if you're with somebody else, because there's only a 50% chance that you're going to be taken out by the predator or the dangerous thing, Okay. Hi, Taylor. You guys, Taylor's here. She's probably been here the whole time. I don't know. But yes, the questions I'm reading is submitted through Patreon. If you're a member of the Horde of Keepers, I always mention a few days before a live stream that we're doing a live stream, and then I take questions on Patreon. Amy grabs them all, sends them to me. We put them on a clipboard. That's where we get the questions. Okay. Speaking of questions. Here we go. Henry says, what female, if any, would be a good choice to breed with a male pastel 100% het hypo? I would say your female should be hypo, like visual hypo would be best. And then as many dominant and incomplete dominant genes as you could have, because, and also this depends on what your plan is with the babies. You may plan to keep all the babies. You might have you might know where the babies are all going. If you do, then don't worry about this. But if you don't have a specific plan for the babies, it's a lot of times tough to sell just a normal, and so you want to have babies that, right now, like if you paired that with, let's say, a het hypo, you're going to end up with a bunch of normals, some pastels, like half the clutch is, would you say, is it a pastel at hypo? Yeah. So half the clutch will be pastel, half the clutch will be het hypo from the male. Your female, if you have a female that's visual hypo, then half your clutch should be visual hypo. And then if they also have some other incomplete dominant or dominant genes, then half the clutch will have a mix of those genes. And that's kind of what you want, is just a mix of cool looking snakes. So that's what I would say with that. But it's important to know where those are going. Make sure you know what you're going to get. As far as the odds go, you don't really know what you're going to get. But I think it's important. I've seen people they get excited and they have like a Mojave and they pair it with a pastel. And then they get a bunch of normals and some with Mojave and some with pastel, but there aren't any breeders that are going to buy those snakes. And that's your biggest market if you're trying to sell on morph market. So I saw somebody complaining one time that she had put her entire clutch on morph market and nothing sold, and she was super discouraged. But it's because she's selling to the wrong, she's marketing to the wrong crowd. There's a lot of breeders on morph market looking for sort of higher end snakes that they can then raise up and breed. And she's got normals, Mojaves, and pastels, sort of a mix of that. And that's more of a pet, that's more of a pet, which they're great. It's a great snake, but you got to find people that are looking for pets, which is harder to do because they don't have, that's not a, people looking for pets don't even know that morph market exists. A lot of times they're going to a pet store and buying those there. So maybe you have a pet store that you can wholesale the entire clutch to that's near you. That's what people do sometimes. So that's what I'll say about that. But if you have a banger female that's hypo, full on hypo, and a whole bunch of other genes, you could start making some cool stuff. So that's that. Okay. Okay, Joe says, what are the best methods for untangling a snake from furniture, fixed enclosure, and enrichment? Yeah, tail first. Go for the tail. I mean, it's pretty common. We saw Freya do that a little bit ago. She got herself wrapped up in my chair behind me. You start with the tail because that's the hand. Think of that like if a snake has a hand, it's their tail. They're very good with it, especially arboreal snakes and semi-arboreal, but ball pythons are really good with their tail too. So you start there, get that unwrapped and controlled, and then it's really easy to get the rest of the snake. Nora Supernova, thanks for the super chat. I'm building a paludarium. Awesome. And I'm concerned about the vibration produced by the water pump. Would it be necessary to house it separately from the Viv? Yeah, I would be too, I think. I mean, I've never done a paludarium, but yeah, I think I would probably be a little concerned about that too, because I don't know what you're putting in there, but most animals, and especially snakes, are sensitive to vibrations. And I just not knowing how much vibration that is and what a constant vibration like that would do with the animal, I'd probably look at housing it separately, or having something that buffers the vibration somehow. I don't know what that would be. Alan, my cleanup crew for the inspector is I've got powder blue and orange isopods. I think they're just called orange. And they're the same species, but just a different color morph, I guess. Blue and orange isopods. And springtails. They're pretty cool. Yeah, Ben, I agree, sort of. Instead of selling on morph market, she should go to a show and sell her stuff there. But or his stuff. I don't know. I don't remember who that was asking the question. Yes, a show you would be able to sell to people who are wanting a less expensive pet snake. The problem is if you just have a male and now you want to pair it with a female, and you're going to end up with 5 or 6 babies, you're probably going to hold one back. Maybe you have 4 babies that you want to sell. That's not enough for a show. Maybe you make friends with another breeder who will bring your 4 snakes and try to sell them with his, But yeah, it's tough when I think there's a lot of people that have a snake that they really want to breed. They think is a cool snake, and it probably is cool and would make cool babies. But there's a lot to think about when you get into breeding a snake. And I also think that because there's so much breeding content on YouTube, and when people are looking up their snakes, like care and stuff like that, they're always getting that information from a breeder. So it seems like when you have a snake, that's just what you do. You just breed it. But that's not the case. I don't think that everyone should necessarily breed their snake. I have a number of animals that I will never breed, you know. So it's a lot to think about. And the big thing is, what are you going to do with those babies? You know, are you going to be able to sell them? So there is that. And regardless of the market, you know, you look at the current market that we're in, which is not great for ball pythons. Sometimes it's good, and I'm sure it will be better in the future, but it certainly is not right now. So having a plan for those babies is important, I think. Okay. So Dan says, I apologize in advance for this. Honestly, I apologize in advance for this. Honestly, but have you ever thought about putting together a video montage of every time Echo has bitten you on camera? Again, I'm very underslept, so sorry for this line of questioning. They are awesome snakes. That line of questioning is totally fine. I should. I don't. It would be a pain to find every clip, you know, because most of them I don't still have. They're on YouTube. I don't remember what videos they are. I'd have to download the video, pull the clip, you know. It would be fun though. It'd be really fun short to have. Although I also don't want to glorify bite. And I know that you were joking with that question, but I'm kind of working it through in my head. Like, would it make sense? I don't want to glorify biting, but I do show it. If I get bit, you're going to see it in a video that's coming up after the holidays, because I just shot it. And I wasn't watching Echo. I was doing a thing and I was talking about it at the time. I was talking about how when I do this thing, when she's in food mode and I put my arm in front of her, I never get bit because my eyes are on her and I can see those subtle body language changes. But I was talking to the camera while I was doing it and I wasn't watching her, and she absolutely bit me. So you'll see that on camera. That was fun. Obviously, completely my fault. She hasn't bitten me in so long, because she usually just doesn't. And also, I'm good at watching her. So it was probably time. Lindsay, thanks for the super chat. It's so nice. You guys, the super chats are really helpful for the channel, and I appreciate them. Happy holidays to the sweetest guy in the reptile community. Oh my gosh, Lindsay, that's so nice. How's the new house? The new snake room is sweet. Oh, thank you. Thanks. I'm really happy with this new place. Happy with my neighbors, and you know, this is bigger. It allows me to have some of the snakes that I couldn't have at my other place. I'm really happy with it. So, in fact, should we get one of those new snakes? Let me see if little Bella or Koa is available. Hold on, I want to see if I've missed any other super chats. I guess Amy would flag me if I did. We got supernovas. Okay. See if I have a little carpet python that's available to come out. I'm still going to do a dedicated video with carpet pythons, but we announced them in the last video. We showed them. Amy and I showed them in was that this Monday's video? I think it was. So here we go. Give me just a moment. Amy, you want to say something to the folks while what are you doing?
Hi,
are you eating food?
What?
What are you eating there?
Mini Starburst now.
Nice. Now, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Sure
I'm just
can.
trying to figure out how the internet works. I don't understand stuff.
Oh.
Okay. I'm going to go get a
Okay.
snake. You do your thing.
Cool. Get Bella. I want to see her silver eyes.
All right. I'll see who's available.
Okay. What's up, snake nerds? How's it going? Are you guys at all shocked that I just got surprise put on screen? Because I'm not. Azara, Dodger's doing well. Dodger's so cute. Target training is going super well. A lot of the times, if I just have like the door open, or if I move around inside the room, I see Dodger's little nose peek out. Dodger always has to know what I'm doing. She's super cute. Taylor, thanks. This is my favorite holiday sweatshirt that I have. I have many though. I have one that has Santa Claus on it that I wore yesterday that says, "There's some hoes in this house," which is, if y'all get
Whoops.
the song reference.
That's really funny.
I also have one that has Bill Murray's face on it, and he's wearing a Santa hat, and it says "Merry Christmas." It's a good one.
It's great. I love it. Look at, I got your girl.
Hi, cutie. Oh my gosh, guys. Look at that cute face.
She's super cute.
Guys, when Brady and I were staying with Bob a couple weeks ago, Bella climbed, I had one of the new snakes in each hand, and Bella climbed all the way up my arm, got in my hair, and then just like climbed up the back of my head, but hid inside my hair. And then she'd just like poke her little nose out every once in a while, and then she'd go back in my hair. It was the cutest thing.
She
She's
was
so
so
cute.
happy to have that hiding spot.
I love this snake.
Yeah.
I put my Santa hat back on.
All right. Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
I'm gonna grab BD Lexon's super chat. Thanks for the super chat, BD Lexon. Happy holidays, everyone. Oh, that's so nice. Yes, happy holidays to everybody. Thanks for super chatting that. I appreciate it. Except now my mouse isn't working. How do I maximize my video? I don't think I. Because I had Amy on. Hang on. There we go. See if I can get her. Silver eyes, which from what I understand, they're not going to stay silver forever. Apparently with axanthic coastal carpets, they have they've got these really cool eyes. Let's see if I can get a good shot. Got these really cool, just ice blue almost silvery eyes. And apparently they change color eventually. But I will say that, it's funny. I'll tell the story when I do a dedicated video for these snakes. But I got Bella and Koa at the same time from the same place. And, but Koa is a bredli, Morelia bredli. And Bella here is a coastal carpet python. And of the, bredli is now a separate separate species from the carpets, but we still kind of consider them in the carpet family. So within that family, bredli are known to be the most chill, relaxed snakes. And, generally like in their first year, they might be a little bit defensive, bitey, whatever, but eventually they're going to calm down and be no problem. And then with the other carpet python species, it's kind of a crapshoot. They're generally, you just have to work with them. And there's some that are considered not so good, like a jungle carpet is supposed to be a little bit more challenging and whatever. So anyway, the point is my guess was that they would both be a little bit defensive, and probably the coastal carpet python more so than the bredli. And I've found them to both be not defensive at all. Neither one of them has shown a defensive bone in their body, but the little coastal carpet python is more adventurous and kind of doesn't have any fear of anything at all. I did I shot a little video for the Horde of Keepers, a little behind the scenes thing. She was sitting on my coat rack, this snake tree that I bought them. That's actually a coat rack, but I use it as a snake tree. And as I was talking, I put my hand near her and she just climbed right onto my hand. Like, she would never survive in the wild. She would be a terrible snake in the wild. It's delightful, but she's bad at being a snake, I would say, because she's just not afraid of anything. And this little snake would be eaten by just about anything in Australia, right? I mean, she just absolutely looks delicious, right? If you're a hawk or any other bird or just anything. But she is not afraid. So I really like them. I am very excited to have them both. Koa is also just a sweetheart, the Bredli. But he's a little bit like, I can tell when he's like, yeah, I don't really want to be taken out of my cage, or I, don't want to be messed with or whatever, but never defensive. Just, a little bit more like a normal snake who might do okay in the wild, but still probably not. But I really love these guys. They're so cool. A super chat from Mr. and Mrs. Morelia. What great timing. Thanks for the super chat, you guys. Bob, about time you got into carpet pythons. Bredli are excellent pets, and axanthic coastals are gorgeous. Both get impressive in size. Yes, they do. Thanks for that, you guys. I appreciate that. Yeah. Bella will probably be bigger than Koa, I would imagine, but they can get 10 feet. I kind of don't expect, because I don't overfeed my snakes, so I kind of don't expect Bella to, but it's possible, and then Koa will be pretty good size also. They're pretty big. I will say this though, I am getting a bigger snake. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Don't know when I'm going to have it, but I am getting a snake that will be larger than these two. And then that'll be the biggest snake that I have, and I won't get anything bigger than that. So it's not an anaconda, and it's not a mainland retic. For those of you throwing out guesses. All right, do we still have? We do. Okay. Look at this. How cute is she? She's just super into what I'm up to. Like, I'm a giant monster, right? And she's like, ooh, glasses. Can I climb on those glasses? I bet she will. And it's not a berm. Good guess, though. Yeah, everybody's saying berm. It's not a berm. Okay. It's the biggest corn snake you've ever seen. Like a freak of nature corn snake. I'm kidding. Okay. Everybody's guessing Burmese. It's not a berm. Andor the Grognard. God, that's the best name. So good. Andor the Grognard guessed it. It's a genetically resurrected Titanoboa. So excited to show them to you. Andor the Grognard. So good. It reminds me of what was Mike Myers' character on Saturday Night Live? Lothar of the Hill People. That's kind of what that reminds me of. I am Lothar of the Hill People. That was so funny. I don't know, like, looking back on, I haven't seen those sketches in a long time. It probably doesn't age well. Like, it's probably not that funny, but the concept of it was funny. The only thing I could remember is just him introducing himself, and that made me laugh. I am Lothar of the Hill People. Okay. All right. So here we go. Next question is from Brian Wilcoxon. Brian says, I know you enjoy the occasional Scotch. I do, although this is Irish. For those of you who weren't here in the beginning, this is my favorite Irish, Redbreast 12. I mean, my favorite Irish that's reasonable. I've had better Irish, but it's hundreds of dollars a bottle, which I would never have. Okay. I know you enjoy the occasional Scotch and even use bottle boxes and tubes as enrichment for your snakes. That's right. I do. That one's going to Stella. I saw in a past video that you used a Savinelli pipe box as enrichment once. Do you like the occasional pipe or cigar? I'm a fine tobacco enthusiast and even manage my local cigar pipe shop. Brian, that's so cool. Yes, I'll say this. Number one, I'm a non-smoker. I don't smoke a cigar. I don't smoke cigars. I do collect pipes, and I quite enjoy them. And I have, I also should say that I collect tobacco, because I kind of do. I have a ton of it, but I don't smoke the pipes very often. Like, I very rarely do. And because I'm a non-smoker, usually for pipe smokers, you don't inhale. And because I'm a non-smoker, I don't inhale the smoke. But because I saw your question earlier, I brought some of the pipes out. So this one, this is kind of my go-to. A lot of times if I'm traveling, this one's a 7L. I have a few 7Ls. This is a every year they come out with a Christmas pipe. 7L does, and this one is their Christmas pipe from last year that I picked up. And this one I really like. It's a long one. This one also, I think, is 7L. So I really like. They just make really classy looking pipes. And then I have two more that are just interesting that I wanted to show. This is a corncob pipe that I had never had a corncob pipe, but they're much cheaper. And this is what I brought to the Amazon jungle with me. I actually bought two of these because they're less expensive. And I gifted one to Kenny, our boat driver. And it was like his favorite gift ever. He was so excited to have a pipe. And then this one was gifted to me. This is like a very Sherlock Holmes-ish pipe, you know? Very Sherlock Holmes. But this was gifted to me by my friend Ryan, who Ryan is a he's a set designer for TV shows. I think he works on NCIS, but his dad is Jack Cassidy. So it's Shirley Jones and Jack Cassidy's kids are Ryan, David Cassidy for any old people here. Ryan is David Cassidy's brother. And so Ryan collects old vintage suits. He's like a really good looking older guy that's got all these vintage suits, and he collects vintage pipes and stuff like that. And a lot of those were Jack Cassidy's, and Jack was his dad, who was a sort of quintessential Hollywood. I think he worked more on Broadway than he did in movies, but he did a number of movies too. Guy with suits and pipes and whatever. And I think this might have been one of Jack's pipes, but I'm not sure. Ryan just gave this to me out of his collection, and it was such a nice gift. It's such a lovely old-timey pipe. I want to show you that. Did we get it? Oh, hang on. So it's just a very classy old pipe that's you know, super bent. Anyway, I could talk about pipes for a while. I have a lot of them. I really like them. I think they're beautiful pieces of art. I almost never smoke them. I have a bunch of different tobacco that's like lovely tobacco that you kind of it's sort of like whiskey for me, that there are different flavors that you can get with different tobaccos and things like that that you can experiment with. And I have them all in airtight sealed bags, so they'll last for a really long time. And they better, because I almost never smoke them. But I like it. It's a fun hobby. Okay. That's that. How long did we go on answering that question? Quite a while, right? Phil asks, did you happen to feel any of that earthquake you guys just had? This would have been a week and a half ago, I think. There was a big earthquake off the coast of California, but it was in Northern California. So I didn't feel anything. I was really worried about that. You know, they were saying that there was going to be potentially some massive tsunami coming through. And that didn't happen. Not coming through where I'm at. I'm in the Los Angeles area. But Northern California, I was worried about like the San Francisco Bay Area. But they did not get the tsunami, which was great. Here, I just saw this question, the Metal 966. Do you plan to get an emerald tree boa or green tree python? Yeah, I would like to. I think, you know, I am green room pythons, and most people hear that name and they think green tree pythons. So I should probably get a green tree python, but I've worked with so many emerald tree boas in the wild now from my trips to the Amazon jungle that I feel like I should have an emerald tree boa. And I probably will at some point. I have this thing where I feel like if I get an arboreal snake, they need a little bit more, I want to say hands-on attention, but I don't mean literally hands-on, but more, I should say more daily attention than I can give to a snake, because I'm out of town a lot of times for a week at a time, week and a half at a time. And I want to have snakes that I know are going to be just fine with me gone. And those snakes, you know, if their humidity gets a little off, it might be problematic. And maybe that's just in my head. Maybe they would do fine, but so far that's why I haven't gotten emerald tree boa or a green tree python. So, all right, where are we at here? Joshua says, if you had no space or time constraints, what is the largest species of snake and lizard you'd be interested in keeping? You know, for lizard, that's easy. Asian water monitor, for sure. They get huge, and I love them, and I've said that a lot. I would love to have a black dragon. So that, and then, you know, so many snakes are on my bucket list, but I wouldn't mind keeping, I would love to have an anaconda. You know, we're saying space is not a problem and time constraints are not a problem. So anaconda, I would probably have a mainland retic, like one mainland retic. But the other issue there is you want someone to be there if you're ever handling them. And I definitely would want that. And I'm a single guy. And so as long as I had somebody else there, I definitely would have an anaconda or a mainland retic. But Boelen's python, they get really big too, but you don't necessarily need another person there. They're not that big. So Boelen's is always on my bucket list. Okay. Kathleen, I'm glad you caught the live. Merry Christmas to you as well. Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm just happened to see some of these. Okay. We're close to the end of this list. All right. Leah has a few questions. What's your favorite holiday food and drink? Holiday drink. I'm a big fan of eggnog. I like an eggnog. A lot of people hate it. Big fan here. I can gain a lot of weight just drinking holiday eggnog, whether it's alcoholic or non. My friend of mine the other day, I was over at his house, and he had me try this nog that he does it kind of like you do a anybody that's into kombucha, you know how you keep the mother and then you make kombucha from the mother. He has this nog that he's had for like 10 years where he keeps it in the refrigerator, and every year he pours a little bit from that bottle from last year into his new eggnog that is a lot of alcohol, so it stays good because it's a ton of alcohol. Anyway, he had me try that the other day, and it was delicious. But I like that. And then my grandmother used to make these spinach balls that, when I was a kid, they were my favorite. And my mother makes them now, and my sister makes them. I would say that's my sort of quintessential holiday. That's for almost any holiday they come out. So, Crisis Corpse, thanks for your super chat. I appreciate it. Did any of your snakes react to the earthquake? My blood python was out in the front yard, and she froze and flattened herself during it. Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. You know, I didn't even know when the earthquake happened because I didn't feel any shaking here. I don't think we had any here in North Hollywood. But, you know, if there was any, my snakes would feel it long before I did. So I don't know, but I think that's really interesting that you were able to spot your snake at the time of the earthquake and see that behavior. I would have loved to know it was happening at the time and then look in on my snakes and see what's going on with them, you know, because I think they definitely would feel it a lot more than we would, you know. They're just tuned into vibrations like that. Okay. So, okay, we're on to Leah's got 4 questions here. So that spinach rolls and eggnog, that was my answer for the first one. I'm getting a new ball python soon. Congrats. That's awesome. She's a pinstripe VPI axanthic. All of my snakes are named after lore, such as gods or entities. We have a Persephone, Nyx, and Ghost following the theme. Name suggestion for her. So put in the chat what your name suggestions are for Leah St. Clair. I'm going to say Daphne. Actually, I might name a snake Daphne in the future. Daphne was, I think, a Greek god, and also, so Greek mythology, Greek goddess, maybe the daughter of a Greek god. I don't know, Greek mythology somewhere, but also Scooby-Doo mythology. So possibly the first girl that I ever had a crush on, Daphne on Scooby-Doo. So do I still have a crush on her? Yeah, that doesn't go away. Come on. Okay. Nimue wants to see Pip or Max, please. You got it. I tell you what, let's put Bella back, and I'll bring Pip out because I know exactly where Pip is. She's easy to get to. So say goodbye to Bella. Here goes this little lady. She did so well. Be right back. Here, let me put Amy on the stage. I try to give you at least a 1 second heads up. Isn't that nice
Thanks.
of me?
Yeah.
There you go. Be right back.
Hi guys. What's up? Tara, I'm sorry that I missed your message, that I couldn't answer it the last time I was on the screen. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to be at Pomona. I will miss you also. You give the best hugs. Guys, if you ever get a chance to hug Tara, you should. I have okay, so I have the live stream up over here and then the backstage thing over here. And I like to have the backstage open so that I look at you guys when I'm speaking, because if I watch the live stream over here, I look like I'm just off in space. But the live stream is always like 12 seconds behind, and it's distracting me. So I'm just gonna. Guys, I really like your name suggestions. So good.
We're almost there.
Ooh, Maeve. That's a good one. That's a good one, Jenna. I like Maeve.
Oh, are they doing name suggestions for?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Guys, for real, I'm not joking. Hug Tara if you get a chance. She gives the best hugs.
She's a pretty good hugger. I agree. She's a good hugger. All right, Amy, thanks for that. See you in a bit.
Bye.
Okay. You know what, you guys? The smallest python species in the world is getting bigger. Little Pip. Hang on, let's switch hands, and then I will push the little button that'll focus on her. Oh, come on. There we go. Little Pip is getting bigger. She's doing real well. She's gonna eat a little snack tonight. So this is for Nimue, who requested Pip. Look at those orange eyes. Super bright, very tiny orange eyes. All right. I would say that Pip is about the same thickness as Bella and Koa, but not as long. They might be twice as long as she is. I love this little snake though, and another one that has no fear. She has no idea how tiny she is. Would never survive in the wild. I'm so glad that I'm saving all these snakes from a, a life of just being a terrible, terrible wild snake. Actually, she'd probably be just fine because she'd find a rock to crawl under and she would just sit under a rock, which is exactly what they do. She sits, her hide is still, Amy sent me a number of jewelry boxes and she prefers that. I have a video coming out that's going to show her new cage, but she's in a full-on black box cage now. She has been for a while. And she has a bunch of hides in there. I just put several different hides. And the jewelry box is her favorite. She loves it. It's a little tiny jewelry box that she can squeeze into. She's great. I get a lot of people ask where they can get a pygmy python, how they can find one, because they see Pip and they go, oh, so cute. And she is cute. They're hard to find, though. Pygmy pythons are pretty expensive compared to other Antaresia, and they're hard to find. There's not a lot of people breeding them. So here in the United States, anyway. So what I tell people is that a really close second would be a spotted python, children's python, Stimson's python. Way less expensive and way more available. So they get a little bit bigger, but not much. You know, I mean, up to 4 feet. Whereas Pip probably won't reach 2 feet. With the others, you'll get maybe a 3-foot snake or a 4-foot snake. Still very small. A 4-foot children's python is still a very small snake. Even though a lot of times in our minds we think of how long 4 feet is and we go, wow, that's massive, but it's really not. It's a pretty small body. They're just great. They're cool. Cool little snakes. Not afraid of anything. Yeah, I think I was here. Nifter's Critters just said, I love my spotted. She's so pretty and has a great personality. You know, I hesitate. I have a few snakes where I just have one of the snake. I'm pretty good at definitively saying or confidently saying ball pythons are like this, because I have a lot of ball pythons and I can, even though some of them have different personalities, I can basically say that they're pretty much like this. It's hard for me to do that when I only have one pygmy python. But it seems like from the reports that I hear from other people that have different Antaresia, that they're just kind of like this. Like they're just lovely, highly food motivated. You know, you could get a food bite. I don't know that she could get her mouth on me at all at this size, but you could get a food bite from one of those. But they're basically just sweet little snakes. Clint, you keep your carpet. Now, when you say carpet, are you talking about the Brettles python that I was playing with? Is it, or do you have a carpet python also that's different than the Brettles? And a 4x4x2. Wow. So that are you saying 4 foot long by wide and then 2 feet high? Or are you saying 4 by 2 by 4 feet high? Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. So yes to the first one, I'm assuming. Just 4 feet all the way around. Said yes. Or is that yes to the Brettles python? That Brettles is very cool. I got to play with that Brettles when I was there recently. It's a cool snake. I'm going to guess that that's 4 by 4 high by 2 deep. Okay. I always, in my brain, the measurements are always, the last measurement for me is the height. So that makes more sense. 4 wide, 2 deep, 4 high. That's a great size cage for that Brettles python. Clint and Jennifer have a beautiful Brettles that's just delightful to hang out with. I had a lot of fun with that snake. And they have a really cool retic too. Little baby retic that's this nervous snake, but super cute. Cool little snake. Nervous as they should be when they're babies, you know, just normal baby stuff. The folks at Black Box Cages have cool animals. Okay. Leah's last question. Any clutches in the works? I have breeding snakes in the works. I would say the question, any clutches in the works would be the incubator. I don't have any clutches in the works right now, but Damara, I'm just going to check on her right now. I'm not going to pull her out. She's nesting and she is due to lay eggs any day now. She might lay, I'm leaving for the holidays on the 23rd. And if she doesn't lay eggs before then, I'm going to set her up for maternal incubation, meaning put some damp sphagnum moss in there, make sure the humidity is at 90 and we'll stay at 90 for a week, and then when I get back, she probably will have a pile of eggs there, and then I'll make a determination if I want her to keep maternally incubating them or whether I should leave them. All right, Clint, good night. Thanks for being here. Good night, Jennifer. See you all on the next one. Okay. Clint and Jennifer are in a different time zone, and it's probably well past their bedtime at this point. So I pulled out this. I was thinking, I've never done this before, but I was thinking that I might feed Pip just out of my hand because I think she'll take it. It would be interesting to see. I'm gonna let this. I'm gonna hold on to this mouse in the baggie real quick and let it warm up a little bit, and then we'll just see what she does. I usually target train Pip. I target her. She's very good with her target, and it's fun to see her sort of light up and dart right over to it when she sees it. But if I feed her right here, I won't be target training. Hang on. Okay. So let's see what else. We're close to this. Azara asks, if you had to recommend a pet reptile for Santa to keep, what would you suggest? That's a great question. So for Santa, it would need to be something substantial. I'd want it to be a snake. It should be a python or a boa. And he's going to keep it in the North Pole, which is cold. So we need the coldest python and the coldest boa. Anybody know what those are? Put your guesses in. I'm going to say it in 20 seconds. What two snakes am I thinking of? One's a python, one's a boa. They live in the coldest regions that pythons get to and the coldest that boas get to. And when I say the boa one, I think I'm correct on this. But I could possibly be wrong. Okay, we have the Metal 966 has a correct python answer. Rosy boa and rubber boa are not what I was thinking of, although they do get down to cold. Tarahumara mountain boa, that's a good answer too. That's a possibility. It's not what I'm thinking of, but those might get, it's not Sonoran. You guys are mentioning some boas that do get down into the colder areas, but I'm gonna say my answer here in a second. Jake got it. Jake got what I was thinking of. Now, again, I could be wrong here. I'm saying Argentine boas because they live way south in South America where penguins live. Like, are they literally in the same area? I think so. Could a Tarahumara boa catch a penguin and eat it? Maybe. So anyway, diamond python. I would tell Santa that he should either get a diamond python, which lives in the lowest hemisphere of any python in the world, or a Argentine boa. And also, Bredl's python can withstand very low temperatures. They get their little area that they live in the Alice Springs area of Australia gets super hot in the summertime and super cold in the wintertime. Ben, I agree with you. Diamond pythons do look sick. They're actually my favorite. They're my favorite Morelia. But for me to keep one, I would want to be able to cool it down.
even though I wouldn't be breeding it, I'd want to be able to give it some temperatures that are what they're used to. And I don't have a cold enough room for that. So yeah, Jake, me too. Diamonds. I would love to have an Argentine boa and a diamond python. They're two of my favorites. I love them. I was so happy. For those of you who saw my video that I did at Snake Discovery, it was so fun to go in the cage with those two diamond pythons, and then and everybody was like, "Oh, that one's gonna bite you. Like it's super food motivated, and it's, you got to be really careful." So I was careful in the cage, but then when she crawled out of the cage, I don't know if you remember this, but she ended up crawling out of the cage into their cashier area. And so I just followed her out and grabbed her and held her and, hung out with her a little bit. And she was fine. She didn't show any signs of wanting to bite me, but I really liked her. She was cool. Jenna, I think this would be a great choice for a Morelia. Bredli are fantastic pets. Might be the best pet snake period for a lot of people, but definitely within Morelia, as far as like a handleable pet, they're so good. Okay, let's see if I can finish up these Patreon questions, and then we'll just be into normal shenanigans. Crisis Corpse is asking, what are your snakes getting for Christmas? I think they're getting new enrichment items. I'm going to add to their enrichment items, and it's not going to be till after Christmas, but it'll be somewhere around there. I get new like fake plants and wood and stuff like that occasionally to just add to the collection. And then as I clean, once cages get cleaned, they get their stuff changed out. So it'll be that, I would say. Okay, last question. Paula says, do you have a favorite holiday tradition? What is your favorite holiday food? So the food we talked about already, those spinach balls. My tradition really now in the holidays is I go up and I either go to Post Falls, Idaho, where my parents live, or I go to Seattle, where my sister is, and one of my sons is in Seattle, and they usually go to Seattle too. And so that's what I'm doing this year. I'm heading up to Seattle to see my kids and kids. They're all adults, but they're still my kids, right? And my sister and my parents are there. That'll be very exciting. One thing that I really missed that was the holiday tradition was sledding. I grew up in Spokane, Washington, right across the street from a meadow that had hills, and we would be sledding every Christmas. I mean, we were sledding all winter, but especially on Christmas, we'd be sledding. It was the best. I miss that. That might be my favorite holiday tradition, is getting out into the snow. But it was super fun to get in the water yesterday and go surfing. It's kind of like sledding, but the opposite as far as weather goes. I think I'm going to be really sore tomorrow. You know how when you do something that your body isn't used to and you're sore, you feel kind of sore the next day, but it's 2 days later that you're the most sore. I think that's what's going to happen. Swimming in a wetsuit is hard to do because there's just more resistance, and fighting the waves, like the crashing waves. You're trying to get out to the part of the water where you can then catch a wave, but before that, you got to fight through all the crashing waves and try to swim out there and everything. There's just a lot of stuff that you do with your body that if you're not used to just regularly swimming or whatever, it's going to make you sore. And that is how I feel today. Thank you, Arlo, for agreeing with me. Surfing will kick your butt. It did. I told my buddy Willie, who I went with, I was like, we kind of had two sessions. We were out there for a while, and then we went back to the shore and laid down on the beach for a little bit and just chatted for a minute. And then we went back out there. And at one point, I was like, hey, man, I'm going to try to catch one more wave, and then I'm just done physically. And I thought that I kind of felt bad saying that, like just being like, I just can't do it anymore. And he's like, oh man, me too. And I felt really good about that because he's in good shape. He's the surfer guy that goes out every other day. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm done too. And good. All right. I'm not the guy that's raining on our parade then. We had fun. There's pelicans out. I was hoping we'd see dolphins. Dolphins are pretty common out there. Didn't see any dolphins, but we had some pelicans right next to us that kind of landed and we're just hanging out. Those are such big animals. And then like a World War II bomber with 4 propellers flew right over our heads, like super close to the water. That was cool. There's just cool stuff to see when you're out in Malibu in the water. Are we done? Okay, we're done with this Patreon list of questions. Great questions, Patreon. Thanks for that. That's always really helpful. Okay, what did I do with? Oh, right here. Let's just try this as an experiment. We're going to try to feed Pip this little mouse. Hold on. Amy, you want to say anything to the folks while I try to find her? There you go.
How's it going? I always talk to you guys like you can respond to me. So, hi. Bob, while you're getting that ready, I asked you a question earlier in the chat room, and you highlighted, I think, the person immediately above mine and immediately below mine, but didn't answer mine.
Oh, really?
You said you were getting, yes.
I wouldn't have
You
seen
said
it.
you were
Sorry.
getting a bigger snake and that will be the biggest snake. And I wanted to know if that was the one you told me about when I was.
Yes, it is.
You are going to get that snake for sure, for sure?
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. Very cool.
Yep.
Guys, all of you people who are asking if you can get a recipe for the black mac, are you guys all in Discord? Because I promise I will post black mac in the Discord. I promise I will.
You guys,
I'll do it today.
I'm telling you, if Amy posts this recipe in the Discord, if you make it, it's going to be so worth it. It's going to be your best Christmas present. You definitely make it. If you see this thing posted in the Discord, it's the best. It's so good.
It is. Guys, I will not spill the beans. I know what the snake is, but I am really good at keeping secrets. At least keeping green room secrets.
She is pretty good at that
all the time. I never spill the beans. Brady, I will too share the black mac recipe. It's so good. Everybody in the world needs to know what black mac is. I'm gonna make it like the most popular meal of all time ever.
All right, I'm gonna try to feed Pip with these giant tongs because I couldn't find the tiny ones. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's just see what happens. I've never done this. Oh, yum. Oh, yum. Oh, my goodness. So tasty. All right. I don't think I want her to swallow it in my hand. Hang on. But she's got her little meal there. She could actually take a bigger meal than this. This is a small fuzzy. She probably could take a large fuzzy. No problem. But look at that, wrapped on the tail. Happy to, maybe I will just hold her here. Maybe I will. We'll see how long it takes her to do this. Because it's really no stress on her. I mean, I don't want this to confuse new keepers that they're going to be like, oh, you shouldn't feed them outside the cage. You shouldn't. But when you've got a snake like Pip that doesn't stress out about anything, and you're not messing with them, you know, I don't know how long this is going to take. All right. Are there any suggestions of other snakes once we're done with these Pip shenanigans? Other snakes that you'd like to see? Oh, let's see what Echo's up to. Hang on. Watch this, you guys. Well, Pip's not doing anything exciting right now, so let's just see what Echo's up to. Her cage needs to be cleaned. That's happening tomorrow. But she has been, you can see that she's been pacing the front of her cage today because all of her substrate has moved off. She's ready to come out. Maybe I'll open her cage and see if we can get her out once we're done with Pip. So what's going to happen here is, Crisis is asking for Handsome Dan. So is Erica. Okay, we can get Handsome Dan out. I think he's just in an easy hide. But so what's going to happen here with Pip is once she swallows this, I will just, she's got her tail wrapped around my thumb. So I'll just walk her over to her cage and let her crawl into her cage, just like she would be doing as she's moving the mouse down into her belly. She'd be crawling around on her cage to give herself some leverage to do that. This is, a lot of you are like, oh, this is so cute. I love that you're doing this. But for a lot of people, this would be horrifying. Just absolutely terrifying. But I think for the most of you, you're okay with it. For those of you offended, I apologize. We only feed frozen thawed here in the green room. I mean, occasionally I have to feed live, but it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare that I have to feed a live meal. Sonia is asking, how long is it going to take her to digest that? I always say that it takes the average python about 10 days to fully digest a meal. And that's because I read that in some scientific paper that, they're basically digested in a couple days, but they're still working on it for days after that. And I don't think Pip has a faster metabolism necessarily than other snakes. She's still a kind of a shorter, thick snake. She's not long and thin like an arboreal python. So it probably takes her a while to digest. I would say 7 to 10 days. She gets fed weekly right now, and I wouldn't mind giving her a week off. Like I do with any of my other snakes. I sometimes give them a week off, especially if they're in shed. A lot of snakes that will eat in shed, I choose not to feed them in shed because it's just good to give their digestive system a minute to relax. So if it does take 10 days for a python to fully digest, and we're feeding them every 7 days, that means that whole process, which is a major process for these pythons, their organs double in size during digestion. It's a big deal. So if we're never letting that system relax, I think that puts a lot of physical tax on the snake. See if we can get this to focus on her. Oh, come on. So the Jake is putting what his fastest and slowest pythons are. I think, from what we can observe how long it takes their digestive system just based on them, how long it takes for the lump to disappear for one thing, but then how long it takes them to get back to normal activity and whatever. But I think the process internally is still happening even when we can't see it. It just does. It's a lot of tax on their bodies. And in the wild, they may, even for a snake that finds food pretty often, they still will go long periods of time without food, which I think is a good design based on what their body has to go through, Sonia, thanks for the super chat. A round of applause for Pip. It's so nice.
Thanks for that. Yeah, Pip's good. She's a good little eater. Sorry that it's blurry most of the time, you guys. I'm having a hard time fixing that little problem. So there she goes. Not a huge meal for her this week. She could go with a large fuzzy. She actually could probably, if I wanted to give her a huge meal, I could give her a hopper mouse and she'd be able to take it. But it would be really big for her. There's not really a good reason to do that, but she could take it. Like if she found a hopper mouse in the wild, she'd grab it and just spend a lot of time digesting it. Oh man, I'm just trying to get this thing to. There we go. What a silly little activity we just did. Okay. As Sonia said, round of applause for Pip. Here she goes back in her cage. Amy, I'm adding you to the stage.
I was clapping.
I know.
I
I
was.
saw that. Okay, I'm going to put Pip back so that she can crawl around and get this pushed down into her belly.
Bye, Pip. Good job. What's up, guys? Oh, hey, Bob, while you're doing that, Brady wanted to know if you chose a team for marble racing for New Year's Eve yet.
Yeah, the one that I was last year, well, now I can't think of the name of it. The midnight, what is it? The
Midnight Wisps didn't qualify.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't. Oh, that's right. He told me that. Then no, I have not chosen yet. I need to choose another team. I'll let you know. That's an important task that I have not done yet. All right. Thanks, Amy.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye. They do. So do you guys watch the marble racing on YouTube? There's a huge channel that does marble racing. And Amy and Brady don't watch it, but their big tournament is at the very end of the year. So for New Year's, they watch the entire tournament, and everybody picks a team. Everybody who's participating in this viewing of the tournament picks a team, and Amy makes shirts for everybody. So everybody has their own team shirt based on the marble team from this YouTube channel. It's really fun. It's very fun to do. I will not be there though. I won't be in Utah for New Year's. So if I was in Utah, I would have chosen my team. There would be a shirt made for me. It'd be great. I did it last year. Okay. What was I going to do? We fed. Oh, we were going to get Echo out. That's right. Let's see what happens. All right. So here's Echo. Let's. Oh, is she going into her sky hide? Hang on. So we're getting into the evening at this point. I don't usually. Hi, babe. I don't usually have her come out in the evening, but we'll see what happens here. Hi. Hi, I'm not feeding. Can you tell that that's me? You're not going to bite me? She's looking for food for sure. Hi. Do you want to come out? You can come out. You see that camera? Come on out if you want to. Come here. You got to come out on me if you want to. She might just be in food mode. So I'm going to bring her out and then we'll see what happens. We'll see how she acts. There's a thing with Echo. Here, let me switch the camera. There's a thing with Echo particularly where when sometimes she gets in food mode enough to where she's just not going to get out of food mode much when I'm handling her. But she seems to be okay right now. So we'll see. She did leave some good teeth marks in me the other day when I wasn't paying attention to her. Do I still have them? Slightly. So slight. Hang on. There we go. So very slight. Hang on. I just saw Amy's answer to someone. Bob isn't going to see this because he's playing with Echo, but look at that. I did see it. But now I can't find what the original question was. Oh, it was about the carpet pythons. Yes, that's true. What Amy said is true. I am going to have a video on those snakes that it's probably going to be more like February or March. I can't remember when it's slated. I've got a whole list of, I usually don't have my videos planned out that far in advance. But right now, I think I have 3.5 months worth of videos that are planned out in advance, which makes me seem like such a pro. But it's not a common scenario. A lot of times it's Wednesday and I'm trying to figure out what am I going to put up as a video next week, like on Monday. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen sometimes where it's midweek and I still don't know what I'm doing for next week. Anyway, yes, I will have a video that's going to answer all those carpet python questions and why I got them and how I landed on those and whatever. So that's what's happening. Ooh, it's hat time for Echo. She saw a brim of a hat. One of her favorite things to explore. I mean, what a great hat band, right? So much better than my off-center steampunk hat band. See if I can back up a little bit so you guys can see her. I want to see if she would. I think Echo would want the dark blue sweater. Hey. Here. I think these are too thick, these sweaters. And also she might not want to do it. Wait, hang on. Let's just measure. Oh, yeah, way too thick. I'm not even going to try. I have all the sweaters out. These are the snake sweaters. You buy them as beer bottle koozies, but clearly they were made for snakes, you know. And they do really well on a juvenile ball python, like a 2 to 3 year old ball python. I mean, depending on the size, you know. But I gotta pick this up. But a full adult ball python is too big for them, and then obviously a baby is too small. So you want them about midway grown, and then they're perfect for those. But Echo is too skinny. Ooh, is my mom in? Somebody just said, "Hey, Mama Bledsoe." Mom, welcome to Seattle. Mom and Dad just drove to Seattle. Glad you're settled in. That's great. My mom and dad just hopped in the car and drove from Post Falls, Idaho to Seattle, Washington. I'll meet them there in a few days. I'm very excited about that trip. My dad, it was such a bummer, you guys. My mom and dad were in Seattle with, my dad has a new car. It's new to him. It was used, but new to him, and a really nice Mercury. I want to say Sable, but that might be wrong. It's like a police car, you know, those big, really comfortable, nice police cars that my dad was all into getting fixed up and like doing all the cool stuff too and everything. And a garbage truck ran into it while it was parked on the side of the road by my sister's house and basically totaled the thing. Such a bummer. So anyway, they're back at my sister's house with their other car. And we hope that the garbage company's insurance is nice to my dad and makes things right, you know. But such a bummer because that was kind of a new hobby, you know, like just super excited about that car. It's too bad. He'll get another one though that's similar and continue. So Echo seems to be doing all right. I bet she wishes that she was hand fed right here. She'd be so happy if I gave her a rat right now. She's not going to be fed for a while. She, did I mention this in my last live stream? I may have, I can't remember, but I did some checking on their weights to see what I weighed Echo and Stella to see how much they had gained. And in 6 months, they hadn't gained a whole lot of weight. And I'm feeding them medium rats, which is, and medium rats and quail that are the same size, like equivalent to a medium rat. And these are skinny snakes. So a medium rat is like twice the size of the thickest part of her body. And so she's getting big meals and not gaining much weight from it, you know, which I think is really interesting. They're super active and they're at a point now at 3.5 years old that they're not super growing anymore. But it was interesting. And it made me think that, tell me if you guys would like to see a video on that. It made me wonder if I took some weights on some of my ball pythons and just figured out the ones that aren't super young and growing fast, you know, how much did I feed them? How much have I fed them in 6 months? And how much of that, like I could figure out an approximate weight of food total that these snakes have eaten in 6 months. And then how much weight did that put on their bodies at 6 months? I think it's really interesting because I would have never guessed that, you know, Echo probably gained 150 grams in 6 months. And she probably ate 3 or 4 times that. I don't remember what the actual numbers were, but it was crazy like that. I always think of snakes as, you know, most of what they're eating, they're just going to put into their body as body weight. But obviously when they're not growing as fast, they get to an age or a point where they don't grow as fast, they're not going to put all that weight, you know. So it's pretty interesting. So Tar's leaving. I'm sure a few people are saying goodnight. Good night, everyone that has to go. We're probably not going to go too much longer. Are there any other snakes that you guys would like to see? I'm going to put Echo back pretty soon. She's not used to being out at night in the evening. She's, I'm sure, wanting food, although she's not acting so much like it. Oh, Han. Leah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I could show you guys baby Han. Let me put Echo back. Let's get the camera on her cage. It's the last time that cage is that. Okay. Oh my gosh. She's so hanging on to my hat. All right, lady, I'm going to put you back. I'm so sorry. I know you want to
You want to go on a hunting mission. I get it. I get it. All right. Amy, you can't hear me?
Hi.
Okay. You
I
can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can. Okay. Okay. Great.
I just like randomly looked up and I was in the show.
I know. I'm sorry. I pulled you on stage because I saw that because I was working with my other camera, it screwed up, and I just want to make sure that you can still see and hear me, because that means everybody else can. So we're good.
Yeah,
the
I
other
can
camera just shut off.
Still hear and see you.
Thanks. All right. I'm removing you and I'm grabbing Han. Oh, Handsome Dan too. People were asking for Handsome Dan, so he'll be on the list. Let's pull Han out. He's in a upgraded tub that is pretty palatial for this guy. Here's this boy. He's doing real well. He's still shy, but like normal snake shy, not like he was when I made the video about him. So he's a real pretty snake. I mean, this is just leopard that you're seeing. He's got some hets, but he's just leopard. I love this belly. This belly just really, oops, sorry, pal. This belly just really trips me out, because I didn't know that leopard did that to the belly of these snakes. It's almost like the pattern just continues around it, you know. So cool. I like a dark snake for sure. He's a good boy. I'm jostling him around a little more than he would like, I think. But I like this guy. All right. I'm going to put him back. We'll see what Handsome Dan is up to. Jay Blue Eyes, he is not het clown or confusion. I believe that is just leopard. I think that's just what leopard does to the belly, but he is het pied and het ultramel, and he might be het for hypo. I haven't tested him, but he's possibly het for hypo, 66%. I should send a shed into RGI and see if he's het for hypo. But it doesn't really matter. I'm going to raise him up and I'll breed him. But yeah, he's cool. Okay. Oh, Handsome Dan left the hide that he was in. Here, let's. Oh, you know what? Can I even get this camera back online? Hang on. Let me see if I can get the camera back online. And there we go. Now, it's possible that we'll lose the camera when I go to move it. In fact, let me move it now before I launch it. And then, okay, we still have it available. So now we're on Handsome Dan's cage. And I think it looks like he's in the sky hide. So he just moved up into there because he was in another hide before. And I like when he's in the sky hide because it makes it real easy to just pull him out. There he is. Just for the convenience of getting your snake without having to mess with them too much. Sky hides are just great. But look at this guy. How cool is he, right?
Come on, camera. I think the camera is supposed to focus on a human face. So when my face is in the way, it's not going to focus on a snake. What a great guy, though, huh? He's a hanger-on. He likes to hang on at all costs. Does not particularly like to be messed with, but he'll do okay. But he'll definitely crack my knuckles. Like he's squeezing these was squeezing these 3 fingers. He just loosened them a little bit, which was nice because he'll do a number on my hand. Hey, pal, you're okay. You just relax a little bit. Just relax a little. You're fine. Yes, Erica, he is getting some size on him. I mean, like I said, he's on medium rats at this point. So he's doing well on those. I just keep an eye on his body condition and make sure that he's just a nice, thick, square-shaped snake. They are a different shape than a ball python. We don't want to see ribs. We don't want we don't want the square at the bottom to be super fat, super wide at the bottom, you know, like a loaf of bread that didn't bake very well at the bottom, so the dough spread out. We don't want it to look like that. Hey, buddy. Ooh, the hat. You want the hat. I get it. I thought he was interested in my face for a minute. I was like, oh, he's interested in me. Not at all. He saw the hat. He totally knew what he was going for. So funny. Could care less about me. Doesn't even realize I'm the guy who feeds him. Come on. Joe, thanks for the super chat. Could Clint's reptile room could Clint's reptile room exist other places, or is Clint a central part as to why it works? Could others do what he's done? How would you? You know, that's a great question. And I've thought about that before. Clint is definitely the central reason Clint's reptile room works right now in northern Utah, where he's at. Clint is a fantastic teacher. He's a biologist. He does classes. He's curated just a wonderful group of employees that work there, and volunteers. A lot of volunteers too, that are just all fantastic. And not everybody can do that, you know. But he can run programs that work really well. You know, he does this summer camp because he and Leisha both are incredible. Like, I just want them to both be my camp counselors. You know, they're just really good at running cool stuff. And I don't know that, you know, I think in most cases, if you had a room, basically Clint's reptile room, just in the basic form, if we're just talking about the room itself, they're open to the public during certain hours, and it's not normal daytime business hours. It's, I think most of the time it's maybe just evenings. I might be wrong about that, but I think that's the case. And they open it up to the public, and you can just go in and handle reptiles, and people will be there to tell you about the reptiles, whatever you want. You just hang out and handle stuff. And I don't know that everybody can do that, like has the knowledge or can train their volunteers and employees up for that kind of thing. It's a very unique thing that he has that works because of Clint, you know. I would like to think that I would be able to do that too, but I don't know, maybe not, you know. It's pretty cool though. I really like it. And he is I know that he's launching people's interest in reptiles by doing that hands-on thing. I mean, I think we all do that. Everyone who has a YouTube channel does that to an extent, but he's got people that are coming and getting hands-on.
And I know a lot of people who say that they were into reptiles and they got back into reptiles because of going to Clint's reptile room and having him right there. So he is, he's doing good stuff. He's a national treasure, you know. My brother talks about it a lot, that Clint is a national treasure, and I would agree with that. I like that guy. Can't say enough good things about Clint. Always fun to go there. Brady, Amy's husband, just said, a great place for people who are afraid of most reptiles. Yes, Brady, I would agree. Brady held a, Brady is not a big fan of snakes, as far as he does pretty well with most of Amy's snakes, but not all of them. And he's not comfortable with snakes like a lot of people that just aren't into snakes. You know, he's just not necessarily comfortable with them. But Brady held Clint's large Burmese python while he was there, because I had the berm in my hands and I said, Brady, take this. And Brady was like, okay, I will. So that was cool. That's the biggest snake that Brady's ever held, and he was a trooper. It was great. So who makes the better hat band, Echo or Handsome Dan? Put your vote in the chat. Echo or Handsome Dan? I'll tell you my opinion. Just on this hat, I think Handsome Dan looks better. Like his colors contrast with the hat a little bit more than Echo's colors. But Echo definitely does more shenanigans. And she's longer, so there's more of her body that can, you know, that can come out on the thing. But Handsome Dan, just his colors look super cool on this dark hat, you know. I mean, look at this guy. How cool is this guy? Wait. He's just great. I love my boa. You know what's funny too, you guys? If I were to pick a boa, you know, I ended up with Handsome Dan accidentally. Most of you probably know that story, that I accidentally got him at an auction. But normally for a boa, IMG, I think, is my favorite boa morph. I love a dark snake. I have a lot of light ball pythons and I love them. I think they're great. But Handsome Dan is very light. You know, he's T positive albino, fire, which brightens him up a bit. And but he's kind of the opposite of the snakes that I normally would gravitate to. But man, he's so pretty. I think he's awesome. And he's got a salmon red head that you can't really see on camera. But I think fire does that to him, brings this sort of salmon orange color out on the top of his head, which is really cool. So there's that. You guys, we are 2.5 hours into this. I'd say we're pretty close to done. Is there any snake that anybody absolutely has to see before we finish the holiday episode? Amy is pointing to herself. Selfishly, Amy is trying to get a...
I'm actually here to speak for somebody else.
Oh, you are? What do you got?
Yeah, I am. Let's see.
Not selfish.
Back up here.
Take that back and apologize.
Now I have to scroll. Hang on. Candy's Critters was trying to send you a super chat and it wouldn't work. But they just wanted to thank you for answering all of their questions. They had to duck out for a while. So anyways.
Got it. Well, thank you for the attempted super chat, Candy's Critters. I appreciate that.
Also, I tattled on you.
What's that? What'd you say?
Not Candy. You. I told your mom that I asked you to give hugs for me when you went for Christmas, and you told me no.
I said absolutely not. I can't be responsible for that kind of thing.
Just know, Mama Bledsoe, that I'm sending hugs, whether he delivers them or not. They're coming.
Yeah, I flat out refused. That's true. And my sister too. I refused to hug my sister
Yep.
for you as well.
I did.
I bet
I
bet
said,
I
will
will
you
though.
please hug your mom and dad and Shan for me when you go visit? And he said, absolutely not. That was his actual words that he said back to me.
I did.
So rude.
I did say that. I do hug them enough though that I'm sure that one of those could be potentially from you, Amy. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
um
Thanks.
all right. All right. I'm removing you now. I should have a long
Bye.
time ago. Bye. All right. The inspector, I'm not going to pull the inspector out right now just because he's difficult to get to and I already bugged him today. I'm sorry about that. I know a lot of people like seeing the inspector. I tell you what though, I'll pull out his son because his son doesn't mind as much. I mean, that's the other thing. Not only is the inspector difficult to get to, he protests. He's like, dude, what are you doing? So here's Max. I see somebody just asked for Stella. Stella's in her hide, and the reason she hasn't been out today is she just shed. And a lot of times snakes, right after they shed, like for 24 hours after they shed, they kind of just don't want to be messed with and they'll stay in a hide. And that is the state that Stella's in right now. But Max here is totally fine to come out. He's a super bright guy. I like this guy a lot. You know, it's so funny that I have video footage of it on my channel somewhere of the color Max was when he hatched out of an egg. He was the color of a strawberry starburst. You know, that light pink color. He wasn't yellow at all. There was no yellow on him at all. There wasn't really anything else. It was where his lines are here, his pattern was purple, and it still kind of is. Like it's still purple-ish if you look at it in person, but he was pink and purple. And I was like, I gotta hold this guy back because I just want to see the color change happen. And he did not disappoint. He looks great. That's right, Sarah. You have his brother. And Amy has his brother also. That was a good clutch. Those were all beautiful babies from this clutch. This was the inspector and Lucille. So all these babies ended up being het pied. But yeah, it was good clutch for sure. The inspector this season is, I'm trying to breed him with Freya right now, but so far they haven't locked. So, so that's the deal. Anyway, that's Max. But you know, Freya makes amazing babies, and I think the inspector does too. Like both of them make cool babies. So we're gonna see what Freya, and we're gonna get some calico, extreme gene, banana, super orange dream, inchy stuff going. Firefly is in there. So many things. And those are all genes that pretty much work well together. There's a lot of times where you get a ton of genes that cancel each other out or they don't look great together, you know. But Freya has 3 different things. The inspector has 4 or 5 things that all work nicely together. So I'm excited about that. Mom, thanks for enjoying my decorations. Look at that. I decorated myself. Amy might have helped me originally. Did you help, Amy? I think you helped originally. Look at her throwing her hands up.
He's like, I decorated myself. I was like, what the heck? I totally helped you decorate.
But Amy, you did originally, but here's the thing. We did that video. You helped me decorate and we shot our video, right? Then after you left, I took everything down so that I could shoot the video that's coming out the week after Christmas. And then I put everything back up so I could have it up for the live stream. So this iteration of it, I decorated myself.
All right, that's fair. I'll give you
But the
that
last
one.
you did. Yeah. All right. Bye, Amy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. You have a great holiday. Hope you have a great new year. I will see you right after Christmas. Will be a video, and then I'll see you in a few weeks for the next live stream. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great holiday. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Bye, everybody.